Hi, my name is Patrick Hobbs. I work for the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in Montgomery County, Virginia. I'm just here to talk a little bit about church security and what you can do to better prepare yourself and your church for an active situation. If you notice, I said active situation because not everything is an active shooter. Some things about church security go as far as, we could have that active shooter. We could have a medical emergency, domestic disputes. Do we have security set in place for our offerings, our tithings, when the money's being counted or being taken back to an office? Is that office locked or is it open? Do we have a safe place to put our tithings and offerings until we can get them to our local bank? We also can talk about weather-related incidents, our children's ministry and how we protect our children. Do we have a security team and a medical team in place? And I'm not going to get in depth on any of this, but what I am going to do is talk a little bit about it, and when we're done, what I'll do is I'll simply suggest that you go to your local police departments or sheriff's offices and ask for help. Ask for them to come do a security check with you, what you can do to prepare your church and your ministry to be safe. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and start, and we'll talk about an active shooter. During an active shooter situation, do we have at your church, or do you have at your church, a proper security team that can react to an active shooter, that can not only disable the active shooter, but possibly even take the active shooter down? I know that in the past there have been a lot of incidents where active shooters have come into churches and people basically become sheep. Let's be a sheepdog. Let's protect our flock. Let's protect our children, and let the active shooter know that we're not going to stand and be slaughtered like cows. So if you have police officers in your church, get with them. Get together as a pastor or as a deacon and get with your police officers in your church. Ask them, what can we do as a church to get together a security team? Start small and work up. If you have larger churches in your area that do have security teams, get with them. Ask them about their plans. What are they doing to prepare for an active situation? We have a medical team. Does your church have a medical team that is prepared to act on some sort of medical emergency? I'm not saying that we need trauma bays and huge trauma kits and all this stuff, but what I am saying is let's look at the small things. Do we have a child in our church that has a peanut allergy, that somehow may have gotten a hold of a peanut product and now they're having an allergic reaction? Do we have a medical team that knows what to do until help does arrive, until an ambulance does get there? Does your church have EpiPens? Do they have Benadryl that they can dispense? Does your church have active letters or notes from parents stating allergies that their children may have? Are we prepared for maybe an elderly person walking into the church, possibly falling down, having a laceration to an extremity or to their midsection somewhere, possibly breaking a bone? Heart attacks, burns. Your church may be having some sort of function on the weekend and someone could get a bad burn. Are we prepared as a church to be able to go out and help these people? Do we have a medical team standing by and ready and prepared to help these ones who are injured or who need a medical emergency? And yes, we do need to keep Band-Aids and Neosporin on hand as well for scrapes and bumps and cuts that we may have during a vacation Bible school. Domestic disputes, a big thing in church, and a lot of times you don't see things like this on the news, and you may not even hear about it locally, but we do have domestic disputes. Does your church host funerals? Do they host weddings? Because I know that tempers can climb a little high during funerals, during weddings. Are we prepared to handle verbal altercations, possibly even a physical altercation where a gun or a knife isn't even involved, but we need to get the parties separated and we need to do it in a polite and kind way, but we need to be firm in our action until law enforcement does arrive, who can then deal with the situation a little bit further. We can talk about weather-related incidents. Do you live in an area that's prone to flooding? Do you live in an area that's prone to maybe tornadoes or any sort of weather-related incident? Are you as a church prepared to deal with a weather-related incident that may come up during a service that we weren't prepared for? Are we going to prepare for that? Our children's ministry, that should be the top priority of anyone, is our children. Are we prepared mentally and physically to protect our children? During an active shooter situation, a medical emergency, domestic dispute. Unfortunately, there are child abductions, child molestation that can happen in church, and it is unfortunate, but it can happen. It has happened, and it will happen in the future, and it is unfortunate, but are we prepared to combat those particular situations? I hope that we are, and I hope that you as a viewer will go to your local police departments, will go to your local sheriff's offices, maybe even hire an outside company, or even go to a larger church in your community to get help with some of the things that we've went over. What I'm saying is, in this day and age, it's unfortunate that our Christians are being persecuted every single day. Not only in other countries, but in our country as well. So let's get together. Let's be sheepdogs. Let's get these security teams and these medical teams ready and prepared and trained to combat these situations that may occur in your church. And unfortunately, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when it's going to happen. God bless you all. Thank you, and let's be prepared and praise and honor God.